born to be free. God never created humankind. He never created mankind to be subservient to evil, nefarious powers. He never created humanity to be run and controlled by evil, wicked dictatorship. And I got to tell you, we're beginning to see an uprising around the globe. Look at what's happening everywhere from Romania all the way to Afghanistan, to the evil perils that are taking place in governments, to the people that are trying to stand up for themselves. And I got to tell you, I had a strong word come in my heart last night, yesterday, and today, and it's this: we the people. We the people, the last frontier, the final line of defense is the people standing up against evil, nefarious powers. And I've got to tell you something, this governmental overreach, this governmental totalitarianism that's trying to come forward is trying to shut people's free moral agency down and tell us to sit down and shut up. And I got to tell you, not on our watch, not today. I believe that what's going to come next is going to be an arising and a shining by a populist uprising that's going to push back against these evil powers that be. Anytime governments try to take over and do the wrong thing by the people, anytime people begin to be suppressed and put into areas where they are told what to do and to sit down and shut up, what you begin to realize is when people stand up, there are more of us than there are of them. There are more of us than there are of them. And you need to begin to recognize this, that I believe we the people, the free moral agents in this world, are going to begin to stand up and bring victory to this planet. And I believe it's going to come in America, whatever nation you're watching in, because Jesus is Lord. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you want to repost this right now, because I believe God's going to begin to bring a great victory chant to your heart and a victory chant to what's going on in the world. I was watching the videos. I don't know if you've seen what's happening in Afghanistan right now. Man, it's heartbreaking. In Afghanistan, you're seeing the Taliban take over in an area that was completely secured and had a good hold on it. Now Taliban is taking over because the incompetence of this current scenario is beginning to let it run wild. And we can't begin to tolerate that. In other words, we the people need to begin to arise and shine and press back against these circumstances. What do I mean by this? When you're seeing people at the airport, the common folk running for airplanes to get out of the nation because they're so afraid for what's going to happen, and the people that have caused this are really the current administration we're sitting under. And I don't know if you saw Mike Pompeo get interviewed just recently, but Mike Pompeo came forward and he just said, you know what? If we were still there, we would crush this. We would stop this. We'd make an example of this, and we would not tolerate this kind of scenario unfolding. And I got to tell you right now, I believe here's what's going to begin to happen. And I've been very concerned about this, and you want to repost this. I feel so strongly on the inside about what's unfolding this fall and what's taking place. A lot of people saying, no, in the month of August, we're going to see the former president get back in. I don't see that. What I do see is a greater clinch and a greater pressure cooker coming in the fall. And I believe it's going to begin to get stronger and stronger until people start standing up for their liberties and their rights. They're not privileges, they're rights. They're given to you, inalienable rights. They are rights given to you by God. And I'm telling you right now, it's time to stand up against this. I agree with Senator Rand Paul. He said it's time to resist. It's time to stand up. It's time to basically say no more of this nonsense. And I'm telling you right now, we the people is the answer for where we need to go next. And we need to stand up together, standing against these evil, nefarious powers and beginning to come forward. First and foremost, how you do that is through prayer. You do that through prayer. You do it through surrendering yourself to the word of the Lord. You surrender to what God is saying. There are so many things unfolding right now. I don't know if you recognize this, but just recently a judge ruled in the favor of the current or the previous Trump orders towards the wall with Mexico. And they told the Biden administration, a judge ruled that they had to continue to embrace the former orders of Trump to stand up for the wall and to begin to keep some of the other border security scenarios in place. And so this judge ruled in favor of the former presidency. And I got to tell you, whatever's going on in government, I don't believe that the current person in office is even in power of what's going on. I think they're getting their strings pulled and they're just doing whatever, because I don't think anybody could be this incompetent hesitant. One of the things we've got to recognize is that I believe the Lord Jesus wants his people to arise and shine. God has not forsaken you by any means. God has not forsaken the United States of America. God has not forsaken the beautiful nation of South Africa. God has not forsaken Australia, where they have helicopters flying around telling people to get back inside over a virus that has a 99% recovery rate. What is happening in our world? Ladies and gentlemen, the issue at hand is we need to stand up for our liberties in Christ. Listen, Galatians chapter 5 says this. I just need to read this to you. Not only is this constitutional, but it's biblical. Listen. Galatians chapter 5 and verse 1, it says, "Stand fast, therefore, in the liberty by which Christ has made us free. And do not be entangled again with the yoke of bondage." Let me say it this way. It was for freedom that Christ set you free. Jesus set you free. This nation of the United States was born for religious liberty. It was born for liberty and justice for all. And right now there's this scenario where people say, oh, like Arnold Schwarzenegger came and said, screw your freedom. Screw your freedom. And we want to say to them, well, screw your communism. Screw your fascism, because what we need to do is begin to stand up as one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all, beginning to come forward and saying, we want the righteousness of God to rule and reign in this nation. So here's what I sense very powerfully in the Spirit. Pay attention to what I'm saying. I've prophesied before that I did not see the number 45 getting back into office because of some circumstances that would unfold. I believe that the election was indeed stolen from him. But I want to say this to you. I believe I have a sense right now, and the sense is this. You need to prepare. You need to get ready, because what's coming, and people would say, oh, don't talk this way, Joseph. Don't say these things. Listen to me. How will the people hear without a watchman? How will they know without a prophetic voice declaring and decreeing things? God does nothing unless he first reveals it to his prophets. And I got to tell you something. It is not going to be sunshine and rainbows going into the fall and going into this next year. It's going to be a time of collision. It's going to be a time where the righteousness of God needs to stand up and say, enough is enough. And if you don't, if you lay back in some of these areas, the nation will be overtaken by these evil, nefarious powers. It's not enough to hope and pray that we get good people in office. No, we need to have our voices heard. We need to arise and shine. And we need to bring life and love forward. Now listen, what I sense strongly is this, is that we need to begin to stand up and just begin to basically say, no, not today, not on our watch. I don't know if you realize this, but recently Biden came out and said, yeah, we're looking at maybe doing a vaccine passport for the major interstates in the nation, that you can't travel anywhere by vehicle unless you have a vaccination. When did we become a communist nation? When did that happen? Nowhere does it say that the Constitution is suspended and our Bill of Rights is suspended because of a pandemic. Nowhere does it say that. We've got to recognize something about this. Jesus wants you to live, move, and have your being. Ladies and gentlemen, you should get bold on the inside. You need to prepare for what's coming. So again, here's what I sense. I sense a great understanding that's going to begin to be revealed more and more as we go into the fall time. I believe that August is a very pivotal month. I believe August is a time of revealing that people say, okay, we need to figure out what's going on. We need to begin to stand up for righteousness. We need to begin to understand what is happening and where we're going. Do you think these people are going to relinquish power? Not on your life, literally. Not in your life, literally. And if you think, oh no, hey, this vaccine thing, all this stuff, it's not about the vaccine proper. It's about what's behind it. It's about the intention behind it. It's about control. It's about getting people to sit down and shut up and do what they're told or else. And here's what we recognize with this. I believe we're going to begin to see an unprecedented power grab going into the fall. They've already done that, but I believe they're going to really begin to ratchet it down. Here's why. Because when 2022 rolls around, if all things are equal, they're going to get clobbered, they're going to get destroyed in the United States government. The bad guys in power right now, they're going to get destroyed if all things are equal, because people have had enough. But here's what you realize. They're not going to allow that to happen if they can humanly do that. If they can humanly stop good people from standing up, they're going to try to really mix the narrative and shut people down and begin to push them in a corner. But we are the people of this nation, of your nation, of one nation under God. We are the church of Jesus Christ, and we need to begin to arise and shine in this hour of darkness. And I do not see more light coming in the fall. I see more oppression. I see a dark winter. I see a dark winter coming, as they already told us when they got into power. It's going to be a dark winter. It's going to be a dark winter. You know, and then he's like, I'm going to walk that way on the White House lawn. Mr. President, could you walk this way on the lawn? Actually, I'm lost. I'm walking on the lawn, you know, and all these things you recognize. It's going to be a dark winter, they said. A dark winter is a code word for a pandemic and really bad scenarios unfolding. Now, the answer is we got Jesus in us. We got the hope of glory in us. We got the gospel in us. And the early church had worse circumstances than we're in right now by a long shot. We've got a lot that's going for us also. But listen, they're going to begin to ratchet down, and they're going to begin to say, oh, there's a new strand, there's a new variant, there's a new this, things are going to unfold, it's going to get worse. I also believe very, very strongly at some point, I don't know if it's this fall or over the next year, I believe there's going to be an attack on our food sources. If you look in the news even, you begin to see that they're trying to buy up land and shut down cattle ranches, and they're trying to shut down agriculture to get in charge of these things. Now, this is serious. But here's the good news. We're still here. We the people are here. There are more of us than there are of them, but I believe it's going to get very strong going into the fall time. It's going to get very strong going into the first of the year, meaning they're going to try to oppress people even further. The reason you got guys like Fauci who are going to continue to say the nonsense and the goofy, self-contradicting statements over and over again is because they don't want to relinquish power, and they know if anybody gets under the hood of all the things they've done, they're going to be in a lot of serious hot water. Now, I believe that we can stand up against this. And ladies and gentlemen, you need to get bold on the inside. One of the things you've got to begin to do is begin to arise and shine. And people say, don't talk like this. Don't talk about this. Where's your faith? Where are you at? I'm telling you, the sons of Issachar knew the times and seasons and what to do. And I'm telling you what we need to do. What we need to do is stand up in our most holy faith and act. We need to act against what's going on. I was just talking to somebody that's running for governor of another state. I'm going to be talking to somebody that's going to be running for governor of the state of Colorado. We've been talking with different people in different states that are running for governors. And we realize this is something that's going to begin to unfold. But I'm telling you, this is the time. If any politician will get bold, if any political leader or church leader or pastor begins to get bold about raising a standard against these evil totalitarianism ideas that are coming against society, they will actually have the backing of God. God is looking for bold leaders to stand up and say, no more, not on my watch. We're not allowing this in this nation. And you need to be the same. And you need to do it with boldness and a sense of what we need to do is begin to arise and shine. You know, I just met Mike Lindell. I met him. He was beginning to say things, and he did the symposium. He got attacked by somebody. All these things are unfolding. And I'm not saying every little thing he says is dead on. I'm just saying that I believe that we need more people like that standing up and saying, hey, it's not about our political future. It's not about me preserving myself going forward. We need to stand up for the truth. And although some people might not have everything in order, they might not know what they're saying, they might not even say everything perfectly right, we still need to stand up for the truth. I see one of our pastors is on here today, Heather Perdue, and she's doing a thing called Unmask Our Kids. And I think I'm saying it right. And she's starting to do just standing up against this stuff. We need more people doing that. We need to start standing against things. We need community, grassroots level people standing up in their communities saying no. We need more people to come together and say we're not having it. We need more protests. We need to stand up against peaceful protests, but we need to stand up and say this. You know, the reason we have the Bill of Rights, the reason we have a constitution is so tyranny doesn't take over our countries or the nation of America. We have the Constitution of the United States of America so that indeed we don't allow tyranny to run things. It gave power to the people. We the people come together, and we are the ones to stand up and stand against these things, but we do it in a peaceful manner. Now, I've got to tell you something. If they try to shut down churches again, don't you dare shut your doors. If they try to shut down your business, maybe it's time you don't do it. It's time to stand up and begin to come forward. Now, it was for freedom that Christ set you free. And you begin to recognize this whole picture. Now, I know many of us are in different nations, and the circumstances are very different. I have so much compassion for my brothers and sisters in Canada. In Canada. You basically got a communist leader in Canada. I have so much compassion for my brothers and sisters in Australia. It is nuts what they're doing in Australia. Over a 99% recovery rate, and the variant is even weaker. I don't understand it. But it's not about understanding it. It's about totalitarianism trying to dictate to you that they want you to do what they tell you, to sit down and shut up or else. So I feel very strongly that the next thing that's going to begin to happen is they're going to try to lock things down in a sense of, we need you to fall in line with a vaccine. They need everybody vaccinated. They need it. Now listen, if you get the vaccine because you want to do so out of your own desire and you feel that's something you want to do, hey, more power to you. I just don't like being told you must do this because we're going to dictate to you how you're going to handle your own body. That's what I don't like. When did we quit becoming free? You know, that's what I don't like. So if you decide, hey, I want to do it, I feel really good about it, man, good for you. That's a freedom choice. You should have the liberty to do that. But no one should tell you, you will do this or else. No one should be able to tell you that. And I believe very strongly, here's what's going to happen. I think that you're going to see more on the sickness thing. They're going to try to do more masking. You're going to see it go up and down and all this going all the way into the next year. I think then also they're going to really push for more vaccinations and boosters and all this. And then beyond that, the other thing they're going to try to really push is they're going to say, well, climate change also plays a great role in this. Climate change is a farce. Climate change is I don't know when people got so stupid. Okay? Looking at just the world around us. Climate change, although there might be some variances here and things that happen, if you look at the history of the world, like the man said who founded the Weather Channel, he was on CNN. The man who founded the Weather Channel went on CNN several years ago and said, I got news for you folks, climate change is not real, it's all about money and paid off scientists, they all get paid to say this, I founded the Weather Channel, I know what I'm talking about, there's no climate change, it's a joke, and all that. And of course they censored him and you don't see him around anymore. Only people that say the same narrative. All of this stuff is weaponized to get you in fear, to sit down and shut up and do what they tell you. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to arise and shine. It's time to stand up and stop saying the sky is falling. The sky is not falling, but perception is reality. And this is what they're beginning to induce more than ever. And people that are completely enamored with social media and they're brain dead, this culture of young people that's on TikTok and everything else so much, they can't even think for themselves anymore, is being brainwashed and swept into this demonic Antichrist ideology. And we're not fighting the Antichrist, we're fighting the spirit of Antichrist, which is working through governments and totalitarianism. And we need to begin to fight back by faith, by grace through faith. We need to stand up in the freedoms and liberties we've been given. You know, the whole analogy we've talked about so many times of people that said in Germany in World War II, when the trains were going by filled with Jews and the churches would say, oh, we can hear them screaming on the railroad cars, they'd begin to go by and the church's leaders said, oh, just bring the music up a little bit, sing just a little bit louder. Let's just begin to numb this out. I don't want to disturb good people. Ladies and gentlemen, they are taking your liberties, they are taking your rights. I never thought I'd have to talk this way ever, but I'm telling you, it's coming our way, and it's time to begin to stand up. People like Arnold Schwarzenegger that have ties to the Nazi party, people that begin to say these things and the spirit that's working through them, I'm telling you, I defy that in Jesus' name. We defy that Antichrist spirit, no different than David stood up against Goliath and said, who is this uncircumcised Philistine that defies the armies of the living God? Who do they think they are? And I'm here to say that America, your nation, was founded for the blood of Jesus. It was founded for religious liberties. And it's time we begin to take them back. It's time we begin to stand up. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to get more and more bold about this because it's time to go forward. And people that are shrinking back and not wanting to talk about it, I'm telling you, they don't have the mind of Christ. We need to get strong. We need to come forward. So here's what I believe is coming next. Let me share this. I've been trying to get to this in my heart and say this, but I believe very strongly what's going to come next is I believe they're going to do a number of things. They're going to use and manipulate when there's a storm. I think they're going to try to use that for their benefit. When storms begin to happen and difficulty begins to rise, I think they're going to use it for their benefit, and they're going to try to leverage that and use it for their own benefit. Now, I won't even get into the conspiracies of do they control weather and all that. Here's what I want to say. Whether there's a weather control or not, that was a homophone, whether there was weather or not. You recognize, though, that you realize this, though, that the truth is whatever happens through a weather scenario, I think they will induce a emergency. I think there's going to be things that happen regarding the shipping industry, and I've been prophesying this now for months. I also think there's going to be things that happen on the high seas that begin to cause shipping and sea-bearing vessels to have issues. I think the food industry is going to take a hit. And I think it's really important, and I don't want to go down the road of fear and doom and gloom, but it's really important you have a little bit prepared for at least a week or something in your house. I really believe that. Now, whether it's in the next few months or the next year or whatever, it's serious. And I really encourage you to be prepared for what's going on in the next few months. Whether it's the next month or the next year, you need to be ready, because they're going to do things. And whenever evil starts to get exposed and when it's in power, it's not going to give up its power without an absolute fight. And we've got to recognize this. This is not nice. This is not business as usual. And people say, oh, we're not called to preach politics. We're not called to do that. Well, Jesus called Herod a fox. And Jesus stood up against the government and different things. And they threatened him. He said, no, I'm going to go do what I'm supposed to do. He had civil disobedience on the inside of him as he went and preached when they said, you need to not do that. And I'm telling you, it's time we begin to stand up, arise and shine, and not let these things happen on our watch. Not on our watch. We, the people. The truth is, all these evil world dictators, these leaders, whenever the people stand up, we the people stand up, they always take a step back. When we the people shrink back and go, oh no, hey, they're telling us what to do. Just comply, just comply, just comply. They take over. They take over. That's how Nazi Germany took over. Started with propaganda. And it began to lead to fear, and then it led to hate, and then it led to genocide. And if you don't think that can happen in our generation and this culture, you are deceived. And I'm telling you, we need to get strong. We need to begin to arise and shine. And we need to recognize the spirit of Antichrist wants to put you in a boxcar. The spirit of Antichrist wants to put anybody that opposes its agenda into a place of imprisonment, to sit down and shut up, and they want to torture that right out of you. That's the ultimate end goal of where this is all headed. Now, I don't think we're there today. I don't think that's where we're going right now. But that is the spirit we're dealing with. That's the spirit. I remember walking into a place and I didn't have a mask on. And somebody started screaming at me and all this stuff. And I'm looking at them like, if you could, you would ship me away and put me into a lockdown facility if you could, if you had the authority to do it. Little people that have never had power in their life, suddenly they have Big Brother behind them. And suddenly when people begin to defy the mandates, they feel empowered. You got these little losers that suddenly feel empowered to tell you, I have the authority of the state behind me. Suddenly they feel empowered. It's a false sense of power. It's that Ahab spirit. They run with Jezebel, Jezebel being the great governmental authority that's saying, you do what we say or else. And the spirit of murder is behind it as they abort the babies and try to save the whales, as they do all these things and they go down this road. And then you have behind that spirit, the spirit of Ahab, the little weaklings that never stood up for anything in their life, but suddenly they tell you what to do. You know, I've always thought about, like when you go through like TSA, for example, I always thought about carrying a small child. And as I carried the small child, like my daughter Allie when she was young, through TSA, and they're like, do this, do that. And I wanted to just say to them as I was walking through, you know, if you don't get educated and really know what you're doing with your life, you could end up working at a place like this when you're older. And anyway, that's not the right thing to do. But I'm just saying, you get a and God bless you if you're part of TSA. Everybody there, I'm always kind to them, and I show a lot of love to those people. But I'm just saying to you, when people are put into positions of power that have never had power, and now they're enforced by a spirit of Jezebel, they get mean and they will tell you to do what they tell you to do because it gives them a rush to finally have a little bit of power in their life. And that is the Ahab spirit. And they begin to push at you like that. And I got to tell you, Jesus wants you to live, move, and have your being. Jesus is referenced as the Lion of the tribe of Judah. Nowhere does the Bible say that we're just supposed to lay down. Now, if it's over the gospel, yes, we turn the other cheek. If it's over the preaching of the gospel, we absolutely lay down our life. We get passive. We're not aggressive people when it comes to the gospel. But when it comes to standing up for your nation or doing what you're supposed to do, I'm telling you, Jesus even told the disciples, go ahead, sell this and buy yourself a sword and go forward and begin to stand up and defend yourself when it's necessary. Paul was in perils from robbers, countrymen, false brethren, all these things. And I'm telling you, the disciples were armed. They were armed. And when people say, oh, that's not true, well, then you should read the Bible more. And I got to tell you right now, I'm telling you, it's time to begin to stand up and begin to say, hey, we need to begin to go forward in Jesus' name, begin to arise and shine in all these things that God's called us to do. I'm telling you right now, more than ever before, I believe the United Nations is in this country already. I think Obama opened the door. I think Biden opened the door. But the United Nations is setting up in different places. There's things going on, I sense, at the border. There's a weird mobilization of the military. There's things that are unfolding. But we're still here, ladies and gentlemen. We, the people, can stand against all these things. You are not the minority. You're not the minority. We're here today with great power. And God has called us to stand and arise and shine. And nowhere does the Bible say shrink back and be weak. Don't be bold. No, rather it says the boldness of God. God says the righteous are as bold as lions. The wicked flee when no one's even pursuing them. Don't act like a wicked person and lay back and let them run you over. You need to stand up, love people, be filled with Jesus Christ, be filled with the love of God for people, but not to the point that we let them put us down, and our children are subjected to this perversion in the culture. When did we, I'm seeing all these parents that go to these teachers' unions and teachers' assemblies, and the parents are all outraged right now about how dare you do this in our school? How dare you do this? Where were they 20 years ago? We're a little late. We need to stand up now, but it's a little late when parents are like, oh, well, they took prayer out of school. Oh, well, they did this. I remember years ago, our kids, they were being taught meditation in class, and Heather went in there. They were being taught meditation. They're being taught, oh, you need to do this, and oh, you need to do that. And, we believe in the great sea creature and the sea, whatever it was, the sea whatever, some sea child, the sea child meditation thing. And we need to do that. It's just yoga, and we're teaching the kids yoga. Heather walked in there and said, so what are we doing in here? And they're like, oh, we're teaching the kids yoga and how to have peace and just, really just calm down and do that. She said, yoga is from an Eastern religion, right? It means to be yoked with Hinduism. That's what the word yoga means, yoked with Hinduism. And they were like, oh, no, we don't, we just believe in all religions and all that. She said, really? Are you guys doing a Pentecostal fire baptized? You keep teaching these kids to speak in tongues in this class? And the teacher's like, no, separation of church and state. She said, actually, yoga is a religion, and you're bringing it in here, and you're teaching our kids how to have the peace like the sea child and all that. And she said, you know what? Stand up, kids. We're walking out today. And you teachers, you're teaching religion to my kids. I thought this was a separation of church and state. And ladies and gentlemen, when you start to know your rights, you can say things and begin to push back. And I'm telling you, it's time to begin to stand up for what's right. If they're going to teach religion to our kids, we ought to teach them speaking in tongues. Let's make it all equal. Let's teach them healing the sick. Let's teach them Jesus Christ is the name above all names. Let's teach them that there's one true God and all these other religions are there, and say, oh yeah, you're right. Let's do the equality sticker in school, equality, and if it was, how they have all the other religious symbols and it spells equality. If that's true, they'd all kill each other anyway, most of them. But you recognize the equality sticker, the truth of the matter is if we brought Christianity in there and we said equality, we got to give each one their place. Well, Jesus said he's the name above all names. He's the Lord above all lords. He's the first and last who was and is to come. And he is the Alpha and the Omega. He's the one true living God. And if we preach that in there, all the equality stuff goes away. And the truth of the matter is we need to begin to show our kids the gospel. We need to show them how to stand up. And I'm telling you, we need to stand up with love and grace in our hearts. And more parents need to start saying, we're going to vote you out of the school board. We're going to cast you out. You don't get to do this. And you need to tell them, you work for us. You work for us. We the people. And this works on a whole variety of fronts. The small businesses should be standing up, coming together and standing up. We should be standing up on a variety of levels. We should be contacting all of our political leaders and saying, we will vote you out of office. I will make it my personal goal, personally, to make sure you fail in politics if you don't start standing up for righteousness and what's right in this government. I'll vote you out. I'll see to it that you're not elected this next cycle. That's what we need to begin to do. Praise God. Now I know it's like, oh, here we go, getting all strong and doing this stuff. We the people, ladies and gentlemen, we the people. It's time for you to stand up. It's time for you to know your righteousness. It's time for you to know the hour of your visitation. Yes, people say, no, we just need to preach the gospel. Well, pretty soon you won't have any place to preach it if you continue to allow these things going on. And I believe very strongly we're going to have a lot going on around this nation. We're going all over this nation at no charge. America's Revival, we're going to go to churches ourselves, we're going to hold our own conferences. We're doing this all over the country because we're believing right now for this aircraft, the Diamond Air 62. I want to thank the partners and friends of this ministry for partnering with us and standing with us. If you partner with this ministry, we're standing up in Jesus' name. We're not going to lay down. We're standing up. We're going to bring the gospel forward. I encourage you to begin to partner with this ministry. If you can't go, send us. We're going out there. We're about $100,000 away from beginning to put the payment down on the Diamond Air 62. And I'm believing God that people are going to stand with us because we have a conviction to get this done. To go with up to 7 team members at no charge to anyone, that we go forward and we begin to preach the gospel at no charge to them. Deepak and I were doing touch and goes, getting ready in the airplane. We're going to keep doing that. We have a current aircraft right now, but it's very limited in who we can bring and how far we can go. It's just very limited, and we're going to use it as much as we can. But the one we want to get will absolutely set this ministry free to preach the gospel all over this country, and it's going to give us longevity in the middle of all this stipulations and lockdowns and all this stuff. We believe we have a longer season of getting to places at no charge to them because of you partners. Partners, thank you so much for being here. I believe it's a paid in full season. Everybody who partners with this ministry, I believe is a paid in full breakthrough season. I believe that increase gets on you when you partner here. I encourage you to do that. Give towards the plane, sow into this ministry, become a partner today. Help us build lives by the voice of God. We appreciate when you sow heavily into the airplane, but when you become a partner, it allows us to really build the future and where we're going. I encourage you to become a partner today or give your very best by going to josephz.com, or you can text the keyword give to 719-259-0029. We got so much more to get into this week. I believe Jesus is Lord. Become part of the Red 7K. We're believing for 7,000 partners that are not bowing the knee to the system, but that are going to empower this message of the complete gospel to begin to change people's lives all over the world. We're going to train people in prophecy. We're going to preach the gospel. We're going to raise up sons and daughters. We're going to build lives by the voice of God. We're going to go to places and do high touch, not just these broadcasts, but go to places with the aircraft and begin to change lives for the gospel. And you're helping us do that. I love you so much, partners. Please become a partner today. Please give your very best today. If you become a partner, you're going to hear from our team. They'll contact you, they'll pray with you, they'll prophesy to you, they'll love on you. And I encourage you to do that today. Again, you can do that by going to josephz.com, or you can text the keyword give to 719-259-0029. Thank you so very much. Jesus is Lord, and we the people are standing up in this season. It's time to arise and shine. I have the love of God in my heart over what I'm saying, but it is okay to be bold against the present evil age. I love you. Jesus is Lord. Make sure you repost this, and I will see you again tomorrow, 7 a.m. Mountain Standard Time and Colorado time, sharing the word of the Lord with you. Man, be encouraged, be bold, get in the Bible. It was for freedom Christ set you free. We got a lot more to get into coming forward, and we got thrilling things that are going to begin to unfold this week. It's going to be awesome. I love you so much. I will see you again tomorrow, 7 a.m. I love you. Have a great day. Jesus is Lord, and don't you be afraid. You lean in power today. God bless you, partners and friends. I'll see you next time.